Hello, and welcome to 97.9 Unity Radio, the best sports show in Worcester, Massachusetts, Moneyline. I am your host, the best podcast host in the universe, Steve Cully. And with me, as always, my incredible co-host, best entrepreneur in the area, Frank Cristiano. Coach Frank, how are you?
I'm doing great, Steve.
And joining us, we have our first special guest, who is Mr. Tyler King. Tyler King, I played football with you. He was the defensive end. He was with many teams, the Arizona Cardinals. He was with the Chargers. He was with the Jaguars. He played up in Canada, and then he transitioned into MMA, where he's been ever since. And also joining us, back by popular demand, he was very, very popular last week. So we try to do our best to appease our audience. Mr. David Schuman, Coach Schuman, how are you, sir? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you good. Doing great, man. Good to be back on.
I don't know if he can hear me or not, but he's there. He's there.
Steve,
When you get a chance to speak, just speak.
I mean, Steve, this is debate night right here.
Well,
You understand you're taking me away from probably the most anticipated event since the Super Bowl?
Tyler, I mean, come on. It's not really.
Long.
Let's move this along. All right, everyone wants to watch the debate. Okay.
Even though you slurred my name, saying I played in Canada. I never played in Canada.
Well, you worked out with me in Canada. I know, in NFL Europe. Okay, I didn't mean to slander your name. I'm sorry. Coach Schuman, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you good.
Beautiful. We got Coach Schuman. We got everyone we need. So briefly, Coach Schuman, Tyler King is on with us. Tyler played with me at UConn, and we're just going to talk some MMA quick because he's the MMA expert analyst, and it's a big MMA weekend. So Tyler, UFC 303, the gate, reportedly $20 million. It was questioned. People didn't really believe it, but it really was true. Connor McGregor, Michael Chandler, fight of the year.
Yeah.
I mean, it was an incredible matchup.
It would have been an incredible matchup, but Connor's toe decided to break, or he had a miscalculation. With that being said, I think anyone that questions Conor McGregor's selling power, power,
right, his drawing power, sure,
exactly, he is the biggest draw in the game, and whether you like it or not, you want to say he is what he was, he isn't what he was. That man can sell pay-per-views. People want to see him. They want to see him fight. They want to watch him on a B movie on Amazon with Jake Gyllenhaal. I'm sorry, but no one in the fight game can sell the way Conor McGregor can. And now, as we've gotten older, that includes Floyd Mayweather.
No, I agree with you.
He's taken an average bottle of whiskey, proper 12, and sold it into an international name.
He really did.
It's an elite product.
Average Irish whiskey.
Average
Irish whiskey.
Come on, it's not average. It can't be average.
It's slightly above average. It's not as good as like Glenlivet. It's not as good as Maker's Mark. It's not as good as Booker's. So, hey, what is it like?
Okay, but it's
better than Jim Beam, though. It is as good as Jim Beam.
I agree with you,
Average.
But Frank and I have talked about this. We watched his last.
Don't hate on Jim Beam. Don't hate on Jim Beam.
I love Jim Beam.
Coach, if you're in an alley by yourself late at night and it's you and 6 cats in a garbage can, Jim Beam is the way to go.
Yes, it is.
First of all, the bottle's big enough to take anybody out. The bottle's big enough to take them out.
That's fair. I don't need the bottle. I don't need the bottle, but that is fair.
But Tyler, Frank and I watched the last couple fights of McGregor, and he clearly didn't look the same. I mean, he looked disinterested. I mean, he didn't.
He wasn't disinterested. Like, you all look at his last 2 fights. His leg breaker was Dustin Poirier. His loss, Dustin Poirier.
Mm-hmm.
Dustin Poirier is top 5, top 3 in the world at 155. He is one of the best fighters in the world at 55 and highly motivated to get revenge on Connor because in their first fight, Connor knocked him out in under a round.
He did.
Exactly. McGregor had too many distractions going on as well. He had, like you said, he's got alcohol, he's got films, he's got too many distractions where Poirier had one thing on his mind.
Yeah, he definitely wanted revenge.
There's somebody said for that, but Conor McGregor is an international superstar. You look at the way, do you think Floyd Mayweather he's just so good at boxing that he does everything else? And Conor
he can do what he wants,
kind of in the same boat right now. So, listen, at the end of the day, the debate ends when the cage door closes. That is what it is. So,
and it does.
We will see. We will see. He's coming off not a fibula, a tibia fracture.
No, it was a huge injury.
What it is.
Coach Schuman, what were your thoughts on this? McGregor pulls out of the fight. It was supposed to be a big deal with him and Chandler, and they had to change everything around. But Chandler doesn't get a fight; they just drop him altogether. Did you think McGregor? I don't know if UFC is your specialty or your wheelhouse, but did you think McGregor had a shot to take on Chandler?
Definitely not my wheelhouse. I do watch it for enjoyment, but
yeah, me too.
Listen, McGregor's the biggest draw. I agree with Tyler. Yes. Anytime you can have McGregor on stage pulling a pay-per-view, it's lunacy not to have him fight.
Right. No, I agree with you.
All right. I'm going to step in there, Steve.
Go ahead, Tyler.
Michael Chandler is a former Bellator champion.
Yes.
I love Bellator.
You
Bellator
do. You competed in Bellator.
Yes, I did. But it's not the same caliber as UFC. With that being said,
no.
Michael Chandler is a middling top 15 lightweight in the UFC. He is a
top 15
record. He has a losing record.
Well, he's taken tough fights, and he's taken fights on short notice.
Losing.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does.
He got choked out by Dustin Poirier.
He did.
He beat Dan Hooker, but Dan Hooker is very mid-grade.
That's true.
Everyone's saying, "Oh, Michael Chandler's going to do act." No. Conor McGregor will slice and dice Michael Chandler, and you quote me on that.
I think Michael Chandler. I agree with you. He has more than enough losses in the UFC to question his ability in the UFC at that weight level. I think he is high energy. He's high excitement. He doesn't get gassed. He's got a great motor.
He's a little bit older.
He takes a lot of chances and he gets caught a lot of times. I think the only way I would question the fight is that McGregor's layoff. Training or not, I think Chandler may have gassed McGregor into a point where Connor may not have lasted the full fight. That's where I would see Chandler would have an advantage maybe. But, with McGregor's striking ability, when you have one punch knockout ability, everything's in question, So I thought it was a great matchup. I would love to have seen it come to evolution. It didn't. Hopefully we see that again, though. Hopefully we see it come back.
It will. I believe that fight will happen.
December.
I fully agree. I fully agree with Coach. I fully agree with him.
Yeah.
Michael Chandler, and I will say this, very hittable. He gets hit in the UFC. And Conor McGregor, when he hits you, you go to sleep or you get damaged.
Yeah, absolutely.
I shook hands with Conor McGregor. Look at these. Look at that's a big fist. I am 6'6". Conor McGregor's fist was as big as mine. He's 5'9". Trust me on this. Conor McGregor, he connects. Michael Chandler's gonna be damaged. If it's to his head, he'll be unconscious.
Now, Tyler, the other thing I wanted to ask you, now the main event, it's for the light heavyweight titles, Alex Pereira, which is against Jiri.
Jiri Prochazka.
Yeah, there's no way I can pronounce it. Jiri Prochazka. Jiri Prochazka.
Prochazka. Yeah.
Okay. That's the new main event. That's the new main event. Okay.
Great fight.
What do you see happening in this matchup? Because Pierre, they want him, Alex, to be the new face of UFC. Like they think that he's going to be.
I tend to agree with you. He's got a great story. 2 years ago, he was drunk off his ass, chasing tires in Brazil. Now he's
10-2. Yeah,
he's amazing. With that being said, I don't think Jiri, with all his martial arts, magic kind of stuff, and he's unorthodox, and he touches you, he hurts you. But Alex is just the Terminator. He's one of those fighters that's like the Terminator. He takes damage, he keeps coming.
He's a cyborg.
He touches you, you go to sleep. He connects to your head, you go to sleep. I don't see Jiri making it past the second round in this fight.
Wow. Really? The second round? That's it?
Yeah.
Frank, what do you think about this?
I kind of agree with it. I kind of look at this fight as a mirror image of what a Chandler Connor McGregor fight would be. You're looking at Jiri Prochazka, who is he does have a motor. He is all over the place with his mixed martial arts skills. You'll see flying knees. You'll see spitting back fists. You'll see combinations that normal fighters won't put together. So he's very exciting. The fans love him. I love watching him. It's very exciting, but it's also a loose cannon mentality out there. So and Pereira's, he is a striker. Now, granted, he does have great ground skills, but he is a one-punch knockout artist, and he's going to catch Jiri. I agree with Tyler right there. This could be a second round. It could be a first-round knockout, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's a. It's coming around for the second time. Jiri does have a little bit of revenge factor there, but I think I think Alex is invincible right now at this point.
Now, Tyler, just quickly, I wanted to touch on the PFL. They're doing amazing. They're still fighting. They bought Bellator. They have a really interesting format that the tournament style that I like.
Agreed.
The main card looks very good, and it's free. It's on ESPN. Brendan Loughlane is going to be facing Justin Gonzales. That's going to be the main event. It's a welterweight.
Yeah.
Do you have an opinion about that fight? Do you see where they're going there?
They're both pretty well-rounded guys. Gonzales
really?
But Gonzales got that speed on him. I think Gonzales will control the pace of the fight and eventually wear his opponent out, get the finish. I see it ending in a finish. They're fairly evenly matched, but I think Gonzales has the extra gear, will do some damage, and be able to hurt his opponent and put it into a finish by the end of the second round.
And the co-main event is Logan Storley against Luka Pocklet.
I go with that. Logan Storley all day. Logan
Storley, 15-3.
Superlative athlete. I believe he's I don't remember what college he wrestled at, but superlative college wrestler. College wrestlers are the best guys for MMA.
Yeah.
You see guys that were like hardcore international wrestlers, and they can't cut it. Collegiate wrestling is the best base for mixed martial arts. Logan Storley was All-American. I think he was. I'm pretty sure he was like Pac-12. correct me if I'm wrong as far as his wrestling pedigree, but he was an all-conference wrestler in the NCAA.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah,
going
for
to.
sure.
I see him being very one-sided, if not dominant, in this fight.
Frank,
I was going to ask Tyler a question, actually.
Yeah.
Tyler, what are the purses like for the fighters in the PFL as compared to the UFC? I know UFC, guys starting out usually have a 3-fight contract. They'll do a fight, a baseline, and then a fight bonus, if they win. How does it work in the PFL?
They still do the format of show and win, but if they're in that tournament format, from what I understand, it depends based on what contracts guys have signed. I've seen a lot of contracts, but generally you're looking at that $20,000 to $30,000 range, 20, 30, and 30 with a show and win bonus. But in the PFL, if you win the tournament, you get paid $1 million.
You get it straight up,
And the guy that loses the tournament, I believe, makes $100,000 or $200,000 in the losing effort.
Right. That's
so
not bad.
They're trying to pay better. And you're managing fighters now with Crown Sports Entertainment, right?
Exactly.
So you're training, Tyler's training and managing fighters as well. So Tyler, thank you.
I do have a fighter lined up for the PFL, so I am rather familiar. I mean, like some guys, they have what's called a super fight division. Guys with bigger names, like Jake Paul signed with them. They fight, and those purses vary. Like Jake Paul probably get paid more than a guy with no name, but in that tournament, it's generally $20,000 to $30,000 show and win.
And Tyler, Frank, just so you know, Tyler has been calling out Matt Hamill repeatedly. He wants Matt Hamill. He wants Matt Hamill bad.
I mean,
Matt may need to warm up for a few years.
You can mouth what you want to say to Matt Hamill again. There.
Yeah, perfect. I can read. He can read lips, so that's good. Hey, let me throw this at you, Tyler. I'm going to throw this at you right now. I have a 26-foot hexagon cage that's sitting in a truck that I'm looking to sell. You know any gyms or any guys out there that want to buy it? I'm selling it. I'll give them a great deal.
I might have a promoter for you. Have Steve connect us, but
oh my God, really?
For you.
Okay.
Yeah, let me know. If there's somebody out there, I'm willing to sell it right away.
I'll need the specs, but most likely I can.
Absolutely. I promoted for 7 years, but I'm done in the fight game, so I'll definitely like to move on from it.
I don't blame you.
Yeah.
Tyler, thank you so much for your expertise.
He knows.
You're welcome.
For the UFC breakdown and the PFL. It's going to be a big weekend, and we're really excited.
Yes, it is.
See you later, brother.
Guys,
you take care.
Thanks for having me.
Always. All right, Coach. Sorry, we jumped into the UFC because it's a big weekend. So we wanted to get that covered. Thanks for coming back. We appreciate you.
Hey, no problem. It's good to see Tyler King.
You remember Tyler King?
I remember him. Yeah, he's a little. You guys are a little bit after me, but I remember him.
Yeah, he's a lunatic, but he's entertaining. He's nonstop entertainment. He is. He's a little crazy. So
he's fighting UFC. So
no, he was on The Ultimate Fighter. Yes.
Yep.
You're right. You're absolutely right. So
we got to be nails tough to do that.
We received quite a bit of feedback last week. Because you do recruiting and training and you have been running camps. The biggest change right now, if you're a top, football player, if you're a highly recruited football player, the biggest change right now in the recruiting game, okay, is it? I mean, are you looking for an NIL deal? Is that part of the recruiting process now? Are you still doing the camp circuit? Is that still a big part of the recruiting process? What is your assessment? I have a top kid who wants to play college football. He's a Division I talent. What's the best way to get started in him being recruited?
Yeah, so a couple things. Well, before I go into that, Tyler King is the reason why I love linebacker, because he clears out all those kind of guys, cleared out everything so he can make tackles.
It's what he did. Yeah.
He cleared out everything. So if I go into any dark alley and Tyler King is remotely near me, I grab him first. He comes with me. Even though I'm a big, gigantic guy, he's way bigger and way more gigantic.
Don't give him too big of a head. He'll get so excited.
So transfer portal and NIL is the two biggest changes to college recruiting, hands down. It's completely changed the way everybody does everything. So,
correct.
You could start with that as kind of the preface for how everything else from a recruiting process takes place, because it's affected high school recruiting tremendously. So the way we kind of talk about it now is if a high school kid, listen, the slam dunk top, 200 guys in the country, they have no problems. When you get to like 250, 300 to the next, to 1,000 to number 1,000 in the country, they have less offers than they had before. Instead of them having 30, 40 offers, those guys are going to have 10, maybe 15. And
is that because of the transfer portal? Is that what you're
definitely
saying? Oh, yeah, okay.
Definitely. So the way the transfer portal works, just so for listeners, because this is really a big thing. The way it works is there's a few periods where they can jump into transfer portal, coaches can recruit them, and it's a frenzy. So I haven't looked in a while, but you probably have towards 2,000 kids that are in the transfer portal.
Did you say 2,000?
2,000, yeah.
Oh my God.
That's probably sitting there right now.
Jesus.
Once you're in the portal, if no one is looking for your portal, can you stay at the school that you were at?
You can.
You can.
Oh,
okay.
You can. Okay.
Yes. So sometimes that becomes dicey.
Right.
Because, as you can imagine, you were a coach, you in college, kid wants to leave for whatever reason, isn't playing enough, isn't happy, who knows, a million reasons, or better some of these kids better opportunities, right? You go to, let's say, UConn, and I think one of the UConn players this year transferred quote unquote up, and
we lost.
You do really well. You have a great season, and you go and you are then you jump in a transfer portal and you're a star at UConn, and you can go to a gigantic Power 5 school, right? So that's happening at the lower levels. It's happening at the upper levels. Coaches leave a certain amount of spots for transfer portal kids, so that's a huge thing. It's a huge thing. A lot of kids do get left out. So like kids who jump into the transfer portal, there's a lot of kids, thousands of kids that don't land anywhere.
Wow. So like if you're working with a high school kid who is being recruited, how do you manage that as far as the transfer portal? You say, okay, this school is interested, this school offered, but you always have this option to go into the transfer portal if you don't like where you are. Try it for a year or try it for 2 years.
Well, from a high school standpoint, that is how kids who go to, I would say, the lower levels look at it. Not every kid, not D3 kids per se, but
sure.
If you're an FCS or a group of five, maybe I guess maybe group of 5 schools, which is below the Power 5, which is Power 5 is like the Big 10, ACC,
SEC, yeah,
Big 12, right? So the group of 5 are Sun
the
Belt,
AAC, the Sun Belt,
right?
Conference USA, the MAC, yeah.
So those guys are always, if they go to one of those levels below Power 5, they may be looking to upgrade. But from a high school player standpoint, the best thing is really go where you're wanted, because if you're to go to camps and you get recruited and you've done everything from that standpoint. You've done everything on the playing field, and you marketed yourself. That's a big thing. You got to use Twitter to market yourself. You got to use, to get your name out there. You got to reach out to coaches. It's more important than ever because there's no such thing as like I said, the top 200 kids, they get found, no doubt. Okay. I mean, they're bigger than everybody. They're faster than everybody. It doesn't mean they're going to be better down the line, but the 5 stars, 4 and 5 stars, but they are ahead of everybody at a certain point. So they have an opportunity to play right away. Like guys want guys to play right away.
Yeah.
So what happens is, from a recruiting standpoint, you got to go where you have the opportunity, where you're wanted. And you got to market yourself to give yourself the best opportunity. You have to go to camps. You got to be smart about how you choose camps.
You do.
To get yourself out there. And
there's so many.
And you got to ask tough questions to coaches. Where am I on your board? So guys will waste time in places that they have no chance of getting recruited. That's a mistake.
Wow.
You can go somewhere else, for a camp in the summer. So it's important from a recruiting standpoint to go where you're wanted, take advantage of the opportunities that there. And I don't want to say don't hold out hope for a bigger school, but you got to commit when the time is right, when you have the opportunities, because you could lose those spots. And that's one of the things that high school kids don't know. They could lose, when they offer somebody. So let's say they had one spot at linebacker, I play linebacker, right? They had one spot at linebacker to give. I played outside linebacker, right? So they have one spot to give. Well, they don't just offer only me if they want me. They're offering
five or six to get one.
Correct. And that, right? So if one of them take it, those other guys no longer have that offer. So high school kids realize that. So, I have kids that played for my 7-7 club that kind of wanted to play the waiting game. We told them, but and their high school coaches definitely told them. It had 10 offers, ended up with had to go to FCS because they didn't take any of them, right? So, and I'm talking big, group, Power 5 offers,
And they held out for more. They thought they could get more.
They're holding out for I don't know what school, what I'm saying, some school that is their dream school, right?
Sure.
I always say this, I had a bunch of dream schools before I went to UConn, right? And it ended up being I had my offers and I went to UConn, and when I was there, I made it my dream school. I made the place.
Yeah.
Took advantage of the opportunity, did the best job I could, got opportunities to play, took advantage of education, make your dream school, because the truth is you're going to, just like you did, you're going to find friends, you're going to find guys that you like to hang around with. You're going to find girls that you're going to want to date. These things are, any school you go to. Okay. Listen, is the University of Miami appealing to players? I get it. Is the South appeal? I get why it's appealing, but you also have to go where you're loved and you're going to have opportunity. And that's what high school players have to continue to do, because if they do that, they'll end up happier with their situation, have a better opportunity. And then listen, you can always upgrade. That's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
You can't, I hate to say it, but that's the truth,
No, it is.
Let me tell you, am I running with the NIL right now, me personally?
Sure.
So I signed a Division III basketball player. I signed. I give him a couple $100 and I feed him in my store, and he comes in and I have an Italian buffet, and he comes and eats at the buffet, and he posts it on his social media. And then it goes to all the rest of his teammates, and they post it on their social media.
You really signed an NIL deal?
Yeah.
Like a unit?
Yeah. There's a 3 kid. And then he posts on their social media, and it spreads through all their friends and goes through the colleges, and then goes locally, around. Well, so the whole thing. And then the coaches, locally, Division III coaches from multiple sports are starting to put together advisory groups of local business people to start to raise funds, because the fear is that they will lose their players that are currently on their rosters to other Division III schools, because the schools will offer them maybe $3, $4, or $5,000 to come, small amount of money, but just to come move and transfer into their school. So they could maybe kick and match or give them a little bit more money on that end as the one-time thing to keep that player at their school.
Dave, Frank's a Cortland guy, so
they won the national championship.
So he thinks he's big time because they won the
Absolutely. Are you kidding me? We're huge now. We're huge.
He's giving out NIL deals, but he won't open my doggy daycare.
Listen, you better take this doggy daycare and shove it up your ass, okay? It's not going to happen.
Dave, within the next 5 years, the doggy daycare is happening.
So, I'm going to tell you what my thought process is. First of all, kudos to you for helping local players that accomplished a lot. Like, I don't think a lot of local proprietors think about it in that way. Small businesses, the opportunity that, listen, get more people in the store. Like, it don't cost me much. Get them in the store. And you know how college kids are. Like once they like that place, they're going to tell 10 friends, and those 10 friends are going to come in, and you're more to make it back. I think that's actually a pretty damn good use of local NIL, especially for a D3. Like,
that is amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, now D1 is vastly different, right? So
yeah,
sure.
You're talking the quarterbacks are getting 7 figures.
Yep.
That's why this year it was the lowest amount of juniors that declared for the NFL draft in like 20 years because they all want to stay in college. They get paid more in college than they would in the NFL as a rookie.
Yeah, if you're getting paid more than you would get or as much as you would as a rookie, and you can live the college life for another year.
Yeah.
I mean, you like, not only are you still a celebrity, you're better than
you are
much better than the level that you're at, and because you're already a draftable guy, so you're going to have a lot of success on the field. You're going to be a rock star for another year, and then when you go to the NFL, then you can find out about what that life's like. But there's if you're making them that kind of money. Now, the thing is, the misconception is that like a lot of players are making that kind of money. That's not true.
That's
right.
not true.
Right.
And they're starting to reward them more for what they do when they're there, which I think is a smart move. So if you're a running back, you rack up 1,500 yards or 1,000 yards, you're going to get a nice NIL deal the next year. So whatever your deal is. But the college coaches, it's tough. Like, that's why you have GMs and player personnel departments that mirror the NFL, starting to mirror the NFL, because what you have to have happen is your head coach can't be sitting in there negotiating every year or every other week with a player who, like, he reels off 250 yards rushing one week and says, "Hey, my deal's not good enough."
No, it's crazy.
Would this in theory make the professional levels better by these players staying an extra year or two in college and gaining more experience on the field instead of being thrown to the wolves at an early age?
Say that last part again.
Well, instead of being thrown to the wolves at an early age, let's say they leave for the draft early at 19 years old, or now the NILs are so rich incentively to stay. They end up staying a year or two more in college. Will that make the pro game better because now they're coming in with more experience on the field?
I think yes. So I think yes. Obviously, as long as you're getting a healthy guy, you're getting a 1 year older guy. Now, the NFL, because I haven't been an agent for 6 years, the way they look at it is a little different. It's like maximizing how long you could have him at star level, so if you could, it works both ways. I mean, the truth is, yes, they're going to get a better player. From an NFL standpoint, the polishedness is good. If it happened on a mass level, I think it would be better as a whole. I don't think it's happening like that, but from a pro standpoint, when you draft a guy, if you draft a superstar that's 20 years old and you can potentially have him at his like youngest peak years, and he's ready to go and he's a first rounder guy, that under that first contract, that low amount contract, it's better for the NFL because, when they're younger, they're less likely to get injured long term. So,
right.
Yeah,
so it's kind of a mixed bag. But look, quarterback position, no doubt in my mind that if they're there another year, it's going to help them. The old Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers theory to me always still applies, right? So we talked about that last time a lot, and so I think a year older player is a benefit. And it depends on the position too. Like, look, a year older old lineman, he's probably better. You know, a year older quarterback, he's probably better. A DB, if he's a megastar, I'd rather have him now. If he's running 4.4 right now,
they have shorter shelf life. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because I was watching the NBA draft and they kept talking about him, and a couple guys that were 22 or 23 years old were actually slid down the draft line because they're considered too old. Like like a kid from Tennessee, Lakers got him at 17 because he's 23 years old, and a lot of the teams don't want to take a shot at that because they'd rather have a 19-year-old kid because they have time to develop him. But this kid coming out of Tennessee is already developed and he's ready to go. He can plug in right away. So I guess that's how a GM looks at it, you know.
It's definitely how a GM looks at it, and I think about it like this: like the guys who are the speedsters have maybe a shorter shelf life in general, because speed is their premium, and the earlier, if you get them at their peak speed, that's better, right? Running backs, my theory is less carries they have on their career.
Less wear and tear.
So if they're good early, they may want to stay for NIL in college because they're not valued as highly. They may get way more money in college. So for them personally, take the money because they're low valued. But for the NFL side of it, those guys have a certain number of carries in their career. You don't know exactly what that number is, right? But they have a certain number of carries based off of the math of all these running backs. And the earlier you get them healthier, potentially the better they're going to be. Like you see a ton of these rookie running backs, second-year running backs, third-year running backs do phenomenally well. When they're at 50-year, like you could probably count on your hand the guys that are good still. So there's not that many Derrick Henrys out there, and he might be in the latter stage of his career as good as he is. So.
But let me ask you, like a guy like Saquon Barkley, okay? He did as well as he could with the Giants. I know he had injury issues, but he was a dynamic talent. He ran the ball well. He caught the ball well. He was really the focal point of their offense. And the Giants don't really even go after him. They just let him go within the division to the Eagles. Do you think that he really had just too much mileage on him and he wasn't worth throwing another $12 million at, $13 million at? Because he didn't get a huge contract from Philly. I don't think he got any offer from the Giants. It just seemed like they were happy to see him go.
Well, I look at it like this. He's had a lot of injuries.
He has.
When he's good, he's the best player in the field, right? But
absolutely.
But he's the most dynamic player. It's I just think they count those carries, they count the wear and tear, and they start counting it. The GMs and the player personnel, they start counting it, and they say, okay, for that amount of money, who could I get instead, right?
Which they did, yeah.
That probably a receiver. I hate to say it, but probably a receiver, a DB, a defensive end, right? Who can I get for that amount of money that will give me more bang for my buck, right?
Yeah, and they brought in Singletary, and you're right. Yeah. That's exactly what they did.
But look, they devalued the position, not just by a few yards. They devalued the position entirely. Devin Singletary is nowhere near the bad. He had a good year in Houston, but he had some average, mediocre to below average years in Buffalo.
That's why I asked him.
Yeah, no, I understand that, but
they make the guy an offer.
I would still, and I know that, and maybe the thing is too much money would have been thrown.
Blame Belichick for devaluing running backs.
Yeah, right. Okay. You're right.
He ran through them.
Nobody devalued them more. He used them. Like James White was great. Who was the guy who played at Oregon that was great for them? He scored a bunch.
LeGarrette Blount.
LeGarrette Blount. Yep.
They were all they were all guys that were really
Lawrence Maroney, even the guys that did well for him.
Yep. Edwards, they went through tons. Yeah.
The guy who used to play for Cincinnati, who was great for a while, and then he had a rebirth with the Patriots. Oh God.
Corey Dillon.
Yeah,
Corey Dillon.
Right.
Yeah, you're right. Led him to a Super Bowl, and then they dumped him.
He kind of made that a thing. Like, take these guys who are kind of either second part of their career or second tier guy, utilize them the right way, and James White became a star.
He did.
Right.
He did it all.
Yeah, but when you have the best quarterback in the NFL, I understand that. But here's the thing: they're trying to see if Daniel Jones can actually is he worth the value? Here's his make or break year, and you don't think guys are going to pin their ears back now? There's no running game.
You take away his weapons.
That's it. Well, I mean, there's no threat of anything.
My theory in the game, because of it's the Michigan Wolverines theory. Everybody's in spread all the time, and they have all those players that cover the spread, playing the spread, and you get downhill on people because people aren't used to it anymore. They don't teach tackling the same way, all that kind of stuff. If you can get downhill on people, it's and you've seen it this year a little bit in the NFL. You can get downhill on people, and you get a run game, especially as you get towards, the end of the year.
Playoffs,
you can really do a lot of damage. And you see, like, Michigan did it. I mean, they did it to the T, and with the Wolverines, winning national championship. Like, that's how they negated all these athletes running around in the SEC, and I think it was, the game goes in cycles, right? It's like, okay,
it does.
Nobody knew how to cover the spread, so and when I played, Hofstra came out there and was just like, chucking it around, and we had all our guys with neck rolls on there out there, cover guys in space, you know what I mean? And it's like, whoa. So so that stuff changed the game, and the Mike Leaches of the world, and the Hal Mummy, they changed the game tremendously. And then you have how the spread took over. Guys didn't know how to cover the spread, so it was unstoppable. And then people start to adjust, right? So now they bring in all those kind of guys, and it changes.
Well, yeah, that's what you said when I interviewed Dave for Husky Talk. He said when UConn played third downs, when they would go into a dime on defense and the offense brought in an extra receiver or whatever, he would come in and he would bump out and he would run and near the running back. He was like the spread
cover guy,
guy that came in to do it.
Now you wouldn't even do that. You would just bring a
DB,
cover corner, or safety, right?
Yeah, to play the nickel.
Exactly.
Well, the guy that I didn't get a chance to ask you about, which I forgot last week. So Denver is the dumpster fire. We talked Russell Wilson. So they go with Bo Nix. All right. Bo Nix, first round draft pick. He played about 12 years in college. I mean, what? And I know Frank goes back to the front office and what the hell are they doing? What were your thoughts on the Bo Nix pick? And do you think that, I mean, he did play very well at Oregon, but do you think that he was a first round talent? Do you think that he'll have success in Denver?
Well, he's a first round talent because there isn't a lot of great quarterbacks. So,
well, they picked a million.
There was nothing left.
Yeah, you're right.
There's the top tier guys in college.
Yeah.
And then you got a lot of guys who basically run the ball half the time, in college. So now, yes, running is a value. Obviously, Bo Nix runs. They all run a little bit right now, but actually consistently throwing the ball, there's not that many of them because the RPO and RPO and the run game is so big that and it really, it goes to high school too. Like, you have a lot of guys that are running the ball with the quarterback. So, but it's one of these things where I think Bo Nix, first of all, I think Bo Nix in that system in Oregon thrived. right, thrived.
I think anyone would have thrived in that system, though. Oregon's Oregon.
I don't know, maybe, but Auburn.
Yeah. Oh, you're right.
Auburn couldn't figure out how to utilize him properly. Like, I remember watching him. I'm like, why is he not doing better? Like, he was good.
You're right.
They, like you would see flashes of him at Auburn. You'd be like, this guy's got it. And then you'd see like a weird pick and thrown, and you'd be like, I don't know, maybe he stinks.
What's he doing? Yeah.
Like, what's going on? And then he goes to Oregon, the right guy around him, the right offense, the crossing routes, the Mike Leach style offense, the spread, where he can take off and run too, utilize his strengths. That's a decent part of the NFL game. And you bring up Russell Wilson. Well, he's doing the same kind of things. He's just a taller guy. He's a younger guy. Russell Wilson, think about Russell Wilson from this standpoint. And when he was at North Carolina State, and he was also a baseball player, people thought he was going to go play baseball, right?
He was drafted. Yeah.
I thought he was going to go play baseball. Then he decided to do that grad year at Wisconsin, right? It was Wisconsin. And he lit it up, and he was so dynamic. But at North Carolina State, you didn't say that about him.
That's true.
He was pretty good. Like, I was actually shocked when I watched him at Wisconsin, because I was like, oh, he's pretty good. He wasn't like, I didn't think he was out of this world. I knew him as an athlete because he was a great baseball player too, right? Yeah. And then he lit it up passing it, and was an unbelievable player at Wisconsin. So systems make a big difference for quarterbacks. There are some guys that it's kind of like, I say it's like a kind of a cop-out answer in a sense, but the truth is there are some guys that work really great with certain coaches, and there are some guys that do not fit with certain coaching styles. And it could be system-based. It could be how they run their offense. It could be the personality of the guy who's calling the plays, and there are coaches. There's still coaches that are two ways, right? There in the NFL, you have to be some level of a player's coach, but there's some guys that are like, I need a guy to run my system, and there's some guys that are like, I'm going to adapt the system to my player.
Funny.
So here's where my befuddled. Wait a minute.
No.
Go ahead. All right, go ahead.
No. After what he just said, you argued with me.
Yeah.
John Randall.
Yes.
Cully Cristiano.
Yes.
Coach Schuman just said.
Yes.
The player, the system. What does the coach do? Does the coach just say, run my system? Or does the coach say, this is my talent, let me work around it and make sure that he gets put in the best position to succeed? Well, he just said it.
What did he say?
He said that there's two ways of doing it.
Right.
There's the coaches that stick to their guns and say, this is how I'm going to do it.
That's what Sean Payton did. And that's why Russell Wilson was out.
Or there's the coaches that say, okay, let's adapt.
Correct.
And make the most of our talent.
I agree.
So, as I said, John Randall buffoon, because not adapted to his talent.
But some coaches can't do that.
Cutler Cristiano and did not.
Coach, he's speaking about my son and my son's coach. Okay, he's going in depth about something that doesn't even relate to what we're talking about.
No, it does, because he had a 6'8" kid.
My son's 6'8"
kid who
wow,
a 6'8" kid who is a true talent. And John Randall, the head coach, he's a basketball guy. He likes to run up and down. He doesn't like big guys. So instead of utilizing a 6'8" talent, a kid who can rebound, a kid who can play defense, a kid who's in the paint, who can score, who has a height advantage over everyone, instead of utilizing that, let's not play. I can't use him because he's not going to be able to get up and down the floor.
Coach,
and it drives me nuts.
It bothers me tremendously. It's not the entire package. And my son, yes, he's a junior. He probably won't come back and play his senior year,
which is terrible.
The coach is he's beyond old school. He's a hard ass, and he rips kids.
He coached me,
and my son's not alpha, so he has a hard time with that style. My son played in 2 state Final Fours because our school had gotten to state finals 3 years ago and a state Final Four 2 years ago. And this past year, we ended up
they struggled
10-10 or whatever we were. And my son had a lot of good amount of playing time his sophomore year, and now this year it actually came down a little bit, which I didn't understand. He was the only returner coming back.
He should have been a starter.
And he was 6'7", 6'8" kid, and he's good with both hands. But he's a true center. He doesn't face the basket. He can't. He's going to handle the ball just in small spurts around the basket.
Yeah.
He's not an up and down the court kid where he's going to run. He's in good shape, and he's not a slob, but it just doesn't fit coach's style.
But if the coach cultivated that, and that you have a kid, that if you yell at him and if you're hard on him, he's going to.
I know that, but my son doesn't love the game of basketball. He likes it, but he doesn't love it.
If you built him up and built up his confidence and showed him some success, he would grow to love the game. I think that if you're going to yell at the kid and hammer the kid, then of course he's not going to love the game because he doesn't love it to begin with. But I think you can build it up so he does love the game.
I look at it like this. The very best coaches of all time, for the most part, I don't care what they say, adapted the system to their players.
Exactly.
Okay? Did Tom Landry, as old school was, what did he do when he got Roger Staubach? I mean, he was as old. Bear Bryant. Okay, Bear Bryant was Alabama. Only white players allowed to play in there. And USC came in there with Sam the Bam Cunningham. And there's a lot of debate because obviously Bear's not alive, but he did it on purpose. He did it on purpose.
Yeah.
He was able to get African American players to his program, and brought Alabama into the 21st century, right? So,
oh wow, okay,
and changed Alabama. He became a power again. He became a powerhouse program until we won another national championship after that, right? So, Bear Bryant adapted. Tom Landry. So these are people that everyone points to as old school, right? They point, literally the Junction Boys. Like if you watch the movie, it's a great movie, eye opening, right? Bear Bryant said that what he did then, he realized that's why it's the only ring he was wearing because he respected them because he was. What he did was theoretically, you would say now it's just wrong, right?
Torture. It was torture. Yeah.
It's torture, right? So he knew it. He adapted. Now he was old school, right? It was a different way of adapting, but he adapted. So look, Bill Belichick, when he got Tom Brady, hey man, let this guy do whatever system works best for him. Run that damn system,
Yeah.
John Harbaugh. And I'm using pros, because it's easier to just kind of point to it in the pros because the pros is a traditional pro style system, right? Lamar Jackson, they have adapted to. If they made when Lamar first came in, he's obviously a much better thrower now than he was, but not because of arm, but now he's learning to read everything. Lamar Jackson, when he first came in, if they made him, read the whole field, and he was just running half the time in Louisville.
It wouldn't work.
All right, hold on 1 second. Can you talk for 1 second? All right, hold on.
Making contact with somebody here.
All right, Dave, I have Steve Darby on the phone. If you want to say hello.
Hey, that's my man. What's up,
Steve? Can you hear him?
Dave, you there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm there. I can't really hear him.
Say hello, Steve.
I can barely hear anything.
All right, how about now?
You won't be able to hear him. You don't have it for it.
Yeah, I can't really hear him.
All right, well, I'm going to say it right now. To our sponsor, the 42nd Brew Co., located on 77 Summer Street in Kingston, Massachusetts. They have a variety of Pilsners, lagers, and IPAs. Wonderful outside deck, restaurant, tasting room, and an incredible ambiance. If you're looking for a place to go this weekend,
have you had a few drinks right now? You stopped right there. Have you had a few drinks right now?
No.
Okay. All right. I'm just making sure.
Well, how about this? I'll do you one better because Steve Darby will tell you I was on the phone with him today and on his ride home, and we talked for a long time.
Because I gave him your number, just so you know.
Perfect. He has it. He just lost it. That's all. It's okay.
Yeah, I know.
But here's the thing. What I learned was he built that place from scratch, which was awesome. And to me, like that's what I look for. Like I like that hometown feel, and he might be back there serving the drinks to you, which
he is. He's
better.
bartending right now. We got him on the phone. He's bartending,
which is even better because if you go in there and you talk to Steve Darby, you won't go anywhere else.
See,
Period.
Steve. See how much. See what the promotion that we're giving you.
I believe it. I give out a free drink to the first person that says they listen to Husky Talk. Comes to the drink.
Well, this isn't Husky Talk. This is Moneyline, but that's okay.
You'd be better off mentioning Husky Talk. If you mention Moneyline, there'll be you listen. Mention Moneyline, you won't have to give out a drink for weeks.
We're the top sports show in Worcester.
Oh, is that what it is?
Number one sports
show in Worcester. So they're gonna
50,000 listeners.
And if you throw Steve a few extra tips, maybe he'll build you an ice luge.
Yes, that's what we need. That's what we need.
Steve, Frank just wanted to know because you haven't called him yet. Because I'm coming out next week. He wants to know the order. So if you call him, he'll put his order in. He wants to know the products you have in cans that.
I'll call him. I'll call you, Steve.
Yeah, give me a buzz tomorrow.
Absolutely, I'll take care of it.
All right. So Steve,
we got plenty of different options.
That's it.
Nice variety.
I'll take a look. I don't discriminate. I'll take them all.
So Steve, just so you know, I give you a ton of promotion on the air. And I put you on with Coach Schuman, so you could say hi to him.
You send me a shirt, I'll wear it on the air.
He's gonna wear it on the air. We're gonna all get 40-second Bruco gear when I come out and visit.
With live music in the background.
All right, Steve. Thank you so much.
All right, boys, you have a great night.
Take care.
Yep, bye.
It's amazing he took time out from actually serving the customers. He was losing money right there.
Coach Schuman, you see, that's the effect I have on people. They gravitate to me. I can't help it. Right?
You got a great personality. You undersell your personality.
Yeah. Out of the blue.
That's great.
Calls him out of the blue. Hey, hang on a second. The coach was talking. He was talking and making a statement here about old-time coaches and trying to adapt and all that. And you're over here like, you're doing this shit.
You're the one who said.
Here's what I want to say. Here's what I want to say about your son, who's 6'8".
Yes.
Okay, do that, please.
If a 6'8" kid walked in my door as a high school basketball coach, that guy, I don't care what happens, is scoring 15 to 20 points a night. Okay, because unless the other team has a 7-footer, I know I'm winning the game if my point guard has any skills whatsoever.
Coach, he averaged 5 shots a game. Played 15 minutes a game. Couldn't get him in enough. And
I would have him every morning working on his post-up game.
But he has
to the basket for a layup.
He has it. He has a good post-up game. He's got a great left hand. He's right-handed. He's got a great left hand. He just doesn't. They never got him the ball. I hate to say it.
He just kind of lost his.
And the coach went to school with me. We went to high school together.
Sometimes that works.
He's a buffoon.
No,
he coached me too. He coached me too. And I don't like him because he's old school. He's a hard ass. He's a yeller, and I get all that. But
I mean, I'm kind of tough sometimes. You know,
right?
I got to know the kid. I think
but yeah, exactly.
Well, and practice is one thing, but during the game, sometimes a lot of time in the game, you can't. They're out there. They got enough pressure as it is.
Right.
Yelling needs to make an impact. It doesn't need to make a headache. And that's what happens. A lot of times, the yellers yell all the time after. Yeah, because you know what? You're in an enclosed cubicle and everyone can hear you.
Listen, I'm sick. I'm a sick 8U rec coach.
Oh yeah.
In basketball.
Are you really?
No,
awesome.
I coach my son's rec basketball.
That's
team.
great.
Oh, that is great. Okay.
So he plays he plays travel. He plays with some guys that like AAU with some. He's 9U now, but like with some really really top guys that coach him. They're great. And I'm like, listen, I think tough him getting coached by other guys tough, where like they point out mistakes. If you bring in basketball, you can bring them off, right? Like when you change sub guys out, you bring them off, you talk to him, you explain to him what he did wrong, and then you give him his little break and you send them back in. You know what I mean? Because I think basketball is unique like that. Football, you're like, you might be stuck a whole drive, right? Things are going bad, and you just, oh my god, like
you can't get to him.
You can't get them, and you're like, do I want to use a timeout here? And you only have 3, and when do you use it? There's a lot more stoppages as far as where you can sub a guy out, talk to him for a minute, bring him back in, right? So,
Yep.
So I think that's the beauty of basketball. Like that's one of the things I actually enjoy as much as I love coaching football for all the years. I always say like I'm secretly I enjoy basketball better. It's coaching, but because you could talk to the player, and I think that was one of the advantages of it. And player can give you an answer really quick, like what were you doing here, like why didn't you roll, like what why did you move, you got to move your feet here, you're not getting in front of the man on his way to the basket, like you got to put your hands up, you're not blocking a shot by slamming them, you got to put your hands up, right? So there are things that like you get to them real quick, one quick point, and they go back out and do. I like that about basketball. But I have seen, listen, I'm from North Jersey. Like one of the greatest coaches of all time in North Jersey is a guy by the name of Jay Mahoney, and he coached at a small school, and he would take team after team to the Bergen County. They won 1 million small school state championships. He would take team after team to the to like the jamboree, which is against all the big schools. He'd make it to the championship and win. He'd win a couple times. He had a couple guys go big time Division I, but he did it with this tiny, tiny, tiny school, and he was tough. He was really, really tough. And in his situation, because he didn't have a plethora of 6'6" guys or 6'8" guy walking his door, most of his team was 6 feet 6'1", and point guard was probably 5'8", right? So kind of that was his style, and it worked really well. And people used to say Mahoney's crazy, he's crazy, but he was a legend, and I understood what he was doing. It was a tough blue collar town, and he knew what made those kids tick, and it worked. You have to know what makes your kids tick. Every town is different. Every individual is different.
That's right.
And you got to find what works. Like, Mahoney works really well at the school that he was at was Bogota. He's if you look him up, he's an all-time New Jersey legend, right? And he might have just retired a few years ago. And it worked really well in Bogota. But what it didn't work really well, it may not work really well in an upscale town, right? Who might have a lot of good basketball players,
right,
but it not work in that town, right? So that's an important thing that I think coaches have to be able to assess that. Not everybody's the right fit in every place,
right.
Like that's a bit like. It's happened to me as a coach. I wasn't a right fit in a certain place. Even as I adapt to my players, I wasn't a right fit for certain towns, and you kind of have to know that. And I think that's all part of it. And you can get indoctrinated with like guys that have been at one place for a long time and they're scared to change. What if we change? The town will be mad at us. Like I don't know. You get those
torches through the town. Yeah.
Coach, the last question I'm going to ask you before we sign off. We had several messages wanting to know if parents who have kids that want your advice or your guidance or to work with you on the recruiting process. What's the best way for them to contact you? Should they go to your website? Should they message you?
Yeah, Twitter is the easiest at Coach Schuman.
Okay.
The website they could go to either nucsports.com or myfootballcamps.com.
Okay.
And the programs are on there. They could reach out to me. They can email me. You can email me at dave@nucsports.com. Send me an email.
And will you work with kids out of state? Is it possible?
Oh yeah, kids all over the country.
Beautiful. Okay.
All over the country.
I want to talk about one thing before you let them off.
Go ahead.
We talked about Denver, right? Okay,
yes.
Bo Nix.
Yeah, sure.
You're forgetting one thing in the equation.
Okay.
Who did the Jets send to the Denver Broncos.
What was it, Zach Wilson?
Zach Wilson.
Yeah.
Don't count him out.
You two are the only ones that think Zach Wilson.
Don't count him out because look, he's
agree.
going back home. He's a BYU guy. He's going to feel comfortable. Number two, Sean Payton's system will fit what he does. He's a smaller guy. He's not a huge quarterback. He's got a big enough arm like Drew Brees. I'm telling you right now, he's got a big enough arm like Drew Brees to fit in that Sean Payton system. Don't count him out.
Coach, please don't say he has the arm like Drew Brees.
I am a closet Zach Wilson fan. So I don't know what that means. I don't know what that exactly means. People
You are
what it is.
Coach, don't be ashamed. Come out of the closet. This is a new era in life. Come out of the closet.
I think that he went to BYU. I don't know if he's a Mormon or not. I'm not sure.
I don't think he is.
He's not. No,
he is. He's not. He's not. Okay.
No, he's not.
He went to Corners Canyon High School out in Utah. He's used to he grew up and he went to BYU. He's used to a certain lifestyle. Okay.
That's
in
true.
New York City, I don't care who you are.
Yeah, when you get thrust there.
The big lights in New York City. That is not Joe Namath. Was Joe Namath the perfect guy? Of course, even though he was from Beavers Falls, PA, played at Alabama, but it turned out Joe Namath was the perfect quarterback for New York. He had the spunk, the pizzazz, the personality. He was over the top, and the truth is, he didn't give a damn what you thought about him. And he was going to go out there and play and do what he does. And it was what I like when I see him talk about those times. Like, the guy is who he is. If you said, where does Joe Namath live now? I would say Florida. Of course he does, right?
Yeah,
come on.
Yeah.
So where do New Yorkers go to retire? Florida, right? So Joe Namath was even though he wasn't a New Yorker, he grew up in a small town. He was the perfect guy. And I think Aaron Rodgers could be a good fit. Like, he don't give a crap about what people think about him.
Exactly.
So if he's able to not get hurt or anything like that, I think he'll do very well. I didn't think Brett Favre was a good fit for the Jets. I never thought it.
He was on fire for a few weeks, but then he came back down to earth. But
he has the personality. But what do you? He's from Mississippi. Like, what does Brett Favre do when you could? Even though he's married, he can walk the streets and every girl in the whole entire street knows who he is. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
And obviously he got in trouble for that.
Well,
that's right.
Jen Sturger, it's not.
Jen Sturger is not exactly the most stable individual either.
She's not an angel. Okay.
No.
But Aaron Rodgers does think the world is flat, just so you know. He's a flat earth guy. So
Aaron Rodgers thinks the earth is flat?
Yes, he does.
Listen, clock is right. The clock is right twice a day.
Yeah, so, you're right. Okay.
A broken clock. Sorry. A broken clock is right twice a day.
Well, as usual, this has been just a wonderful show. Wonderful show. Coach Schuman, thank you so much for joining us. Coach Frank, I think we learned a lot today. We learned a lot. And for myself, Steve Cully, the best podcast host in the universe, and also Tyler King, the MMA expert. Remember, when life gives you lemons, don't make lemonade. Take 2 oranges and throw them back at life.